Hi, everyone. Thanks very much for joining us. So, my name is Celeste Golden. I'm the Irish and EU Admissions Officer here at RCSI, and I'm delighted to talk to you about the process of getting in through the CAO. So, I have about 30 slides to show you, a lot of pictures, don't worry, and a lot of talking around it. But we are here later on for a Q&A session, and we are also going to do a hpat session. So don't worry if you've lots of questions, they will be covered, and we'd be delighted to take the questions later on in the Q&A session. So my job today is to share with you some tips on getting you from where you are today, sitting in a classroom or sitting at home or sitting wherever you might be sitting, to being graduates. So I love this picture of our graduates from the School of Medicine because it really does give a good sense of who everybody is. So not everybody obviously comes in through the CAO school leaver pathway with points. We also have graduate entry pathways and mature entry pathways. So it's really important to keep in the back of your mind a sense that not to put a huge amount of pressure on you around points and that you can't get into medicine or pharmacy or physiotherapy or ATT without huge points. You can get here. It might be a slightly longer journey through the graduate entry or the mature entry pathways at a later stage. But we'll talk a little bit about that later. But what I love about this picture is um, Shane on the left there. He's a graduate entry student. He came into the 4-year graduate entry program. Um, uh, there's a couple of students there who came in as mature entry students, CAO school leavers, and a couple of internationals. So it really gives a flavour of, essentially everybody coming out the far side. They may have taken a different pathway. So it's not all about points, but obviously today the focus of our talk is the CAO and how to apply through the CAO. So there's plenty of information for you available on the websites. The CAO website is a really good port of call. Our own website, of course, you'll find a lot of information there that you can read up on, and I'd certainly recommend you take the time to have a look at a lot of the student testimonials. The students are obviously our greatest uh, asset when it comes to talking to you about what it's like to be an RCSI as an RCSI student, and what the differences between the programs are, etc. So I'd certainly recommend you take some time to pore over the website. Um, Also, you'll find a lot of information on the ACER website, and certainly that's the first port of call as well in terms of getting your hands on practice test workbooks for the hpat, etc. So, to remind you all that we are a free fees college, so the university has been covered by the free fees scheme for decades. But just a reminder that that is the case. So everyone is entitled to 1 degree for free. So you can come into college and essentially get the tuition paid for under the free fees scheme. If you come in for the first time as a brand new entrant, your fees are free. They're covered by the free fees scheme. You do have to pay a contribution, and this year the contribution was reduced by €1,000. So 2890 is generally speaking the overall cost. If you're covered by Susie grants, then they will cover the contribution cost, which was 2000 this year. Um, if you do decide to go to college for a year and maybe repeat the hpat or take some time out but do another course, be very careful about that because you can use up your free fees, and then the following year you'll find yourself having to pay tuition for 1 year, and obviously the cost of pharmacy, physiotherapy, medicine and ATT is quite costly. So really do consider your options before taking up a lower preference course and maybe repeating hpat before you do that. I'm happy to talk to anybody about those decisions as well at the time later on when you find yourself with a CAO offer. Just drop us a mail if you have any questions around that. We have a number of access scholarships. We're part of the HERE and the DARE scheme. So if you're a HERE eligible student, there's a number of scholarships available to HERE eligible students: the AIM High Medicine Scholarship, the Kieran Pathak Pharmacy Scholarship, and the 1916 Leaders and Learners bursaries. These are very substantial financial scholarships. to the tune of around €5,000 per year for 5 years. So if you are eligible, I would thoroughly recommend you take the time to put an application in. The applications come directly to the college, and all the information is available on our website. Here and there, reduced points places, we have at least 6% of our CAO school leaver places are offered to here and there students on reduced points. The dates obviously are important. They're listed on the CAO website. We've listed them here for you today, and obviously this will be made available to you later on. The big thing, I suppose, is to just bear in mind the CAO opens in early November, and it's a good idea just to have a look at the application. It's very, very straightforward. Um, Particularly if you get in early, it costs you less. So I'd thoroughly recommend that you just have a look around. And really, it's simpler than buying a Ryanair ticket, to be honest. All you have to do is put in your personal information. You don't need to put in any course choices in right now, or even before January. You can still mull over what your thoughts are. So very straightforward thing. And what's great about the CAO is there's a lot of information available for you there around lots of different things. I particularly like the demos that they have, and certainly I'd recommend you have a look at those. The application demo is right there. You can click into that. They also have this great section for medicine applicants in the applicant resources. So if you click into that, it will take you to either undergraduate entry to medicine or graduate entry to medicine. And within the undergraduate entry to medicine section, I'm just going to show you what you'll find. And these are really important documents that are readily available for you to have a look at. What's really important about this one is it shows you the matriculation requirements for all the medical schools in Ireland and the differences between them, because obviously each school has either a 5 or a 6 year program in some cases, and in other cases only has a 5 year program. So RCSI, I'm going to speak about RCSI. We have a 5 and a 6 year program, so obviously the entry requirements there differ depending on whether you're coming into the 5 or the 6 year program. So important to familiarize yourself with that booklet, which is, as I said, here on the CAO website. The other piece of information within it is about moderation. It sounds kind of complicated. Moderation is essentially um, the law of diminishing returns when it comes to leaving cert points. If you get 625 points in your leaving cert, that's amazing. It's an incredible score. Very few people get it, but if you do, it's actually only worth 565. So if you look at the far right hand side, if you start at the end there, anybody who's getting between 621 and 625 is actually only worth 565. So that's what moderation is about. If we go to the beginning, you'll see that anybody getting 551 to 555 is actually getting 551 points. So for every 5 points above 550, you get 1 point. That's what moderation is. And sometimes people forget that when they're going to calculate their points, when they're adding up their points and their hpat score. Sometimes they don't add it up correctly because of moderation. So that's something to just get your head around while you have the time now. So setting up the CAO account is really, really straightforward. You essentially just put in your name, address, your date of birth, etc. Like very, very easy. I'm not going to go through those slides in too much detail, but it just shows you how very easy it is. You don't have to add your level 8 courses immediately. I mean, seriously, if it's a good idea, yes, it is a good idea. If you're thinking about medicine now and you know that medicine is going to be one of your course choices, well then obviously you would put in RC001 and the rest of the course choices for medicine. There's 5 places you can study medicine in Ireland, so obviously your first 5 choices, if you really want to do that, would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the course choices in there. Perhaps you want to apply for pharmacy. You might put down the 3 pharmacy schools, 1, 2, 3, and then you might put in maybe a science program that might help you get there. Same for medicine. Science program is always very good as a backup plan. So, as I said, you have until the 1st of July to change your mind and to put in and to change around your CAO course choices. So don't be getting too worried about making decisions around course choices, because you have a lot of time to actually adjust that. But what's important is just to get the initial application in with your your information, your personal details, etc. And then you can start thinking about your course choices. So medicine at RCSI, the course code is RC001. We have 49 places available. The points this year were 741 in the first round, and we dropped to 739 in the last round. It hasn't really changed over the last couple of years. The hpat scores kind of varied from 165, 168 up to about 229, which was a very big score. Typically, the average scores are in and around 180, 190, and a leaving cert score of about 550, 560. Um, we have, as I said earlier, a 5 and a 6-year program. So if you have chemistry and another lab science, you'll go into a 5-year program. If you only have one lab science, and that can be physics, chemistry, biology, or agricultural science, you'll go into a 6-year program. The other piece of information really around medicine is obviously hpat. Now we have a session on hpat later on, so important not to kind of get into too much detail about it in this talk because we're covering pharmacy, physiotherapy, and ATT. But hpat, the ACER website, is a really great place to start, and they have a really good section on preparing for the hpat. Where they provide practice test workbooks. So we're going to go into this later at the proper time with the hpat talk, but just to let you know that the website, the CAO website, and our own website will bring you to those. Pharmacy at RCSI is a 5-year program. We have about 30, 35 places. The points this year, again, very high, 613. The matriculation requirements are the same: Irish, English, Maths, a science subject, and a third language. There's no specific subject requirements in terms of sciences. Any lab science will do. And we offer the MPharm program. As obviously, you'll come out with a Master's of Pharmacy. So it's a 5-year program now. Physiotherapy, or C004, we have about 20 places available for that. Points again this year, 589, very high. I think they dropped somewhat in round 3, but not much. Same again, Irish, English, Maths, a science subject, third language. It's a 4-year program for school leavers, and it's a 3-year program for graduates. Our new course, which we launched this year, which we're really excited about, we took in 43 CAO school leavers this year, and the points range from 487 up to 625. So it's a really good one to have there if you're thinking about pharmacy or any of the health sciences. It's a good one maybe to have as a backup plan. There is a H4 requirement in maths because there's quite a lot of stats in this program. So you do need a H4 in maths, so keep an eye on that one. And it's a 4-year program, and you'll come out with a BSc. So the open day is obviously a really good opportunity to delve into more information around these courses, talk to the students who are in the program, and our staff who deliver the program. We are part of the Here and the Dare scheme. So what is here? Well, here is the higher education access route. There's plenty of information for you on the accesscollege.ie website. But essentially, if your family income is below about €46,000, you may be eligible to apply for here. So it would be important that you do have a look at the accesscollege.ie website, which is here at the bottom. And there's a really, it's a really nicely done, presented, very simple way of looking at how to apply if you are eligible. So the most important indicator is income. So if you have to meet that indicator, so if your income as a family is below 46,000, you then can apply a number of other indicators. Don't need to tick all of them, but there's a combination that you can submit. So I would really encourage you to have a look at that. The application does take some time, and you do need to tick the box on the CAO application, and you do need to probably have a very good look at all the required documentation that has to go in to the CAO as part of your application for here. So that's socioeconomic, revenue documents, etc. So take some time to figure out if you're eligible for that. As part of accesscollege.ie website, there's also the DARE section. So DARE is the disability route. So the advantage of applying through DARE and here is that all the colleges that you apply for will have reduced points places. So we would have at least 6% of our CAO school leaver places offered to here and DARE eligible students on reduced points. And those points can be significant. They can be anything between 5 and maybe 35 points in a reduction, depending on the year and depending who's applying. We prioritize firstly students who are both here and DARE eligible. So students who are eligible for both schemes will be prioritized and put at the top of the list. And then if you have a disability and it's a physical or sensory disability, that will be prioritized. So you'll go to the top of the list if your disability is sensory or physical. So really important that you familiarize yourself with both of those schemes, and you make sure you apply before the 1st of February. It's really important that you get your documents in. So I'd start looking at that, in November, December, get everything together and just make sure that everything is in on time, and just saves you all a lot of stress. Um, so then what happens? Well, if you're lucky enough to be offered a place, those places come out in August or September. For the last number of years, it has been in September. We don't anticipate that changing too much between now and 2023. So the offers go out in September. There's always at least 2 or 3 rounds for medicine, pharmacy, physiotherapy, and ATT. So you can work up your CAO list. Obviously, you might start down at maybe accepting number 8 or number 7, and then in subsequent rounds, you can be offered another place. So the CAO has tons of information there on how the system works. And I'm happy to take some questions later on if you have any. So my last words to you would be to be really strategic in your CAO choices, to have a backup plan, to always think about graduate entry or mature entry pathways later on to pharmacy, physiotherapy, and ATT. Um, the the school leaver pathway is the most competitive in the country to these courses. So really just to focus your mind on putting all your efforts into the Leaving Cert this year, doing the best that you can, and maybe just having a backup plan of a science program there on maybe choice 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, somewhere along there that can help you at some point to come into a graduate entry or a mature entry pathway. So all the best with everything, and we're going to have some hpat sessions later, and also a Q&A. So you're very welcome to ask us some questions there. So I'll leave you with that, and I'm going to press stop on my recording and enjoy the rest of the morning. Thank you.